In the world of firearms, Glock is a household name. You don't have to own one to see how successful the company has been at developing a line of pistols that have been incredibly well received. But why? Let's see where it all started to understand how Glock has gotten to where it is today. Gaston Glock's 17th patent, the Glock 17, won the Austrian Armed Forces contract in the early 1980s, beating out some of the big-name brands like Beretta, Sig Sauer, FN Herstal, and Heckler Koch. It was then adopted by numerous European nations and NATO allies. As their militaries began adopting the guns, the police forces followed. In a mere 10 years, they were in use in 4 to 5 countries. That surge continued throughout the 1990s, and they became adopted by more and more agencies, departments, and militaries. That certainly leads to some large orders, but let us never underestimate the buying power of the American gun owner. Now, let's look at why Glock's consumer sales have grown so exponentially. The polymer revolution. Glocks were the first mass-produced pistols that used polymer instead of steel and traditional firearm materials. When the Austrian military ordered it in 1982, most were skeptical of the polymer's quality and reliability. The early Glocks brought the beginning of the polymer pistol revolution. There was that silly media frenzy over new pistols that could avoid metal detectors and other such nonsense. Of course, no journalist stopped long enough to breathe into a paper bag and consider that gun barrels and slides are made of steel. Regardless, going to tactical Tupperware was a big deal that turned the gun industry on its head for quite some time. For years, keyboard commandos bemoaned a world where pistols would fall apart or melt if left in the car on hot days. You know what they say about publicity, any is better than none, and Glock got plenty of attention. In just a few years' time, the polymer pistol revolution took the world and the United States by storm. All sights, triggers, and magazines used in Glocks consisted of polymer clay. By 1986, every major department of United States law enforcement utilized Glocks as their pistols of choice. The law enforcement pistol. Glocks gained fame in the U.S. gun market due to Glock's widespread adaptation in law enforcement agencies worldwide. For many years, Glocks were the preferred duty pistols of law enforcement officers pretty much anywhere. From police forces to U.S. Customs and Border Protection to Special Forces, on-duty officers consistently utilized Glocks. Sure, there were occasional upstarts that used Sig Sauers, Berettas, or Smith & Wesson semi-autos, but in most cases, if it wasn't a revolver on the Sam Brown belt, it was a Glock. As Glocks became commonplace in law enforcement, this handgun took center stage in the public eye. Without any kind of mass advertisement, Glocks captured the interest of gun enthusiasts nationwide. Due to the high demand, gun dealers stocked their inventory, as aspiring handgun owners desperately fought to get their hands on the coveted Glock pistol with its unprecedented range and accuracy. Reliability. The Glock was designed from scratch to pass the abusive and exhaustive reliability and function tests dreamed up by the Austrian Armed Forces during its 1981 selection processes. The test pistol had to survive a 2-meter drop onto a steel plate without accidental discharge. It had to fire 15,000 rounds. After that, it had to survive firing a massively overpressured cartridge with somewhere near double the pressure of a standard 9mm load. The pistol passed, which explains the Glock pistol family's long-standing reputation for reliability and durability under adverse conditions. The Austrian military, who were the first users of the pistol, wanted a durable handgun. To accommodate the Austrian military's needs, the Glock was born. Even after rounds and rounds of crash and firing tests, the Glock sustained almost double the standard 9mm load pressure. All these tests made headlines worldwide, which reassured potential customers that Glocks met the standard of reliability. Since its inception, gun owners have set world records by submerging the handgun underwater, allowing it to plummet to the ocean floor, and storing the firearm in sub-zero temperatures. Despite this ocean-induced wear and tear, the reputation of the Glock has remained intact to this day. Simplicity. Glocks also gained rapid popularity due to their simple design and firing mechanisms. If a gun operator needs to shoot, they can gently press the trigger to fire the gun. With these easy-to-fire features, the Glock could outcompete most revolvers that seemed to resist firing. While this handgun prides itself on its simple design, customers similarly praise its safety mechanisms that prevent life-threatening or potentially lethal gun accidents. Unlike other models, this state-of-the-art Glock pistol successfully minimizes the risk of accidental firearm death, granting customers much-needed peace of mind. All those law enforcement users carry theirs with one loaded in the chamber because the Glock's internal safety system does a great job of preventing a boom until you specifically ask for it. Variety of models. While Glocks mostly remain unchanged since manufacturers released the first design in the 80s, customers can still enjoy variety during their shopping experience. For instance, there's a choice of caliber for almost any gun owner. Similarly, you can find a Glock perfectly suited for self-defense options. With a selection of 10 million guns at your fingertips, customers can handpick a handgun tailored to their unique needs, including 9mm, 380 a CP, 40 Smith & Wesson, 4-5 a CP, 10mm, 4-5 G a P, and even 357 SIG. That's a useful array of self-defense options to fit most every shooter's preference. Manufacturing perfection. The tolerances to which Glocks are manufactured may be one of the contributing factors that help them perform in a wide variety of settings. That's not to say their tolerances are sloppy, more like a balance of form and functionality. Some fine, hand-built 1911s might glide like butter on the bench while clean. Introduce some debris, and that smoothness gives way to jamming issues. Glocks seem to have enough space so that the foreign material falls away just as easily as it got in. They're not going to fail after a roll around in the sand or dirt. They operate in the most austere environments and conditions because they are simple. Simplicity spawns reliability. When you combine simplicity, reliability, and accuracy, you have the hallmark traits desired by any military, government agency, or law enforcement department seeking to outfit their people with firearms. They want to be able to hand any class of new recruits the same pistol and reach a standard for performance. When they find that right fit, they order them, a lot of them. Another reason I think you see Glock sales numbers so high is their sheer prevalence and market saturation. New buyers who may not know much about the industry look to what they've heard about for their first purchase. Being featured in movies, music, TV, and video games, people know how popular they are. Pair that with being highly recommended by most gun shop employees, and you confirm their bias to buy Glock. Finally, they're just plain good guns. You can hand an experienced shooter a Glock, and they will run through almost any course of fire just fine. To help that, the various models run the gamut from single-stack micro-compacts like the G42 duty and carry guns like the G17 and G19, competition guns like the G34, and even the big 10mm G40 you can reasonably hunt with. Glock has over 50 models, and yet, if you've trained with one before and pick up a different model, it will feel incredibly familiar. You can complain that they have not been innovative lately. You can complain that they have subpar ergonomics. You can even bring up that they lost major ground to SIG in 2017, but you can't argue with their performance, sales track record, and their sheer infusion into anything firearms related. Heck, half the no firearms allowed signs I see have an outline of a Glock being used. When it comes to pistols, the bar is set by Glock.